Welcome to the Beyond the Exercise podcast. I am your host, Manny, and today I'm going to be joined by one of a very special guest of mine. Uh, this guy is a dear friend that I met online through a course of development through personal training. And the one thing that stood out about this guy was just being very active in the group and being very positive, very encouraging, and just always having his mind and his heart out there for all of us to interact with. Now, I don't know if you've been a part of any courses where you just have a billion of different people in there that you do not know, but this guy is the type of person who would reach out, let his guard down, let you in, talk to you like you're an actual human being. And this is the one thing that I love about this guy because even through the online space and seeing all of his Instagram posts and just him being him, it's crazy. And I'm so excited to talk with him today. And this is no other than my really good friend, Alexander Piña. What's
Manny,
going on, brother?
Manny, what's up, man? Thanks for such a nice introduction, man. I gotta like turn my speakers up even louder now. That hyped me up.
Hey, so how are you, brother? How are you doing?
Good, man. Doing really well. Life is good. Um, yeah, going traveling soon. Health is great. Family's good. So yeah, life is really good, man.
Are all the plants still alive and well?
They are, except I have 3 to 4 I probably need to water about right now, and I can locate like two in my mind, but the other two I know I need to search and find.
How many plants do you have now?
Probably close to 90.
90.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was crazy. I'm probably approaching 30, but to have 90, that's insane.
Wait, but I remember 2 years ago when you had like 4 or 5.
I know. And, when the green thumb comes along, you
Yeah,
just
man. It's
buy everything.
it's like a trigger one day, and then like it's like a switch. You can just like somehow take care of plants all of a sudden, and then it works.
Right. And at a certain point, you have this internal clock of knowing when to water them, as if at a certain point you become one with these living things that are by force in your apartment.
Yeah, it's there's really nothing woo-woo about it. You kind of become just like layered in with the plants. Like, yeah, there's you have intuition now because that's why I like plants because they require that I take care of something other than myself. So it's just like a good practice, I feel like. So yeah, I know exactly like when certain plants need to be watered. It's intuitive now.
Right. Cool.
But I
So
will say, I will disclaimer that I throw plants out sometimes too because I let them die. So I'm not perfect, but I'm good
at
at it.
at at points you kind of have to just let them go and let them go to the next
I'm talking to you,
afterlife.
Boston Fern. Boston Fern, if you're on this, I'm talking to you.
What would you say out of all your plants is the most difficult one to take care of, but the one that you enjoy most?
Ooh, that's a really, really, really great question. Most difficult. Oh, so there's an elephant ear. I'm getting into like outdoor plants a little bit more because I kind of have a place now with like some backyard space and some front yard space. I know
Hmm.
you can't really relate to that at all. You're like, what does that
No,
even feel like? It's
I
great.
just I just have windows.
But it's yeah, they're typically pretty easy to take care of. The elephant ears, you water them a lot and stuff like that. But mine is just not doing really well right now, so it's like kind of challenging me to learn more about it. So I guess that one right now, even though it looks like it's about to die, but at the same time, it's like growing a new one. So it's
I
kind of like
see.
what make up your mind.
So why the green thumb, man?
I don't know. I will say my great great grandfather had like a ranch like with you know all the cattle, all the animals, the veggies, the plants, and everything. And so I don't know. I just interacted with him, when I was within 2, 3, 4 years old, quite a bit, like out there sometimes.
Hmm.
And so I would probably link it to that because it is just so fun. It's kind of meditative for me now when I get to repot plants and stuff. So yeah, I love it.
Is there any connection you would say your love for plants and I don't know if love is the word here, but your interest in personal training?
Yes. Yeah, but I would say more for like my training reasons.
Okay.
Maybe you could link it to the coaching as well, because I do enjoy that process of being with a client and gradually seeing the results. That's sort of the process, like the daily just things you do. Those
Mm-hmm.
are the things that kind of like get me hyped up, if that makes sense, when I'm on the roll. So, yeah, yeah, it's like the daily things I have to do to take care of my plants, whether it's wipe a certain leaf, right? Because dust is collected. And then like today I had to spray neem oil on one of my plants because it has aphids. So these little black things that are crawling in the soil. So again, it's like if you were to wake up with a cat or a dog, you have responsibilities, and I would say that you have certain responsibilities when you have plants as well. At least this amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I
90 different ecosystems, dude. It's
right.
soil, right? It's fungus. It's like the insects. If I just thought of that, but if you kind of break it down like that, that is kind of trippy.
Right. You know, the way that I see it of somebody being very, well, at least I can only speak for myself, or somebody who actually cares for taking care of things, whether you have pets or in your case, you have a lot of different plants. And as I know that you do a lot of coaching, and as I see through your social media posts and what you say in your descriptions as you're training your clients, it's so very encouraging, like how I introduced you. It's the way that you care for things. It's very encouraging because, especially as I am very much surrounded with a lot of people who are in the industry of helping people, you can kind of weed out and see the ones who actually do really care for people, whether they're in it for just for helping people or if they're just in it for making a name for themselves or just making money. But I can definitely see you as one of those guys who just really cares for somebody and their improvement. And the way that I see it, I'm creating this story in my head of why you like taking care of plants is because you just generally like taking care of people. And before we were on this call, you told me a story about how you care so much about this specific person that is really rooting you where you're at and not letting or not making it an easy decision for you to jump.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. Just the thought of kind of making that jump and then kind of just caring for that person so much. But yeah, I care for things quite a bit. Yeah.
So, would you say, what's the reason? Why did I meet you in that course?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I just was newer to training. I think I might have had about 8 months. Yeah, 8 months of training at that time, so under a year.
Okay.
And I had a colleague that had introduced me to that sort of thought process. When you look at the body, the crunch forward or my chest is out, you know what I'm saying? So like I wanted to learn more about that. And by the way, like I love all that jargon and stuff. I still find it really fascinating, even as I train in a less extent. That is something I wish I had more time for, was like trainer and coaching education, which is something I should probably demand I put more time into. But that's why we met, because I wanted to learn more about that process and just how to take care of clients in that regard, of more breathing focus and things like that.
Right. So that course was called the Compound Performance
Compound performance mentorship.
Compound Performance Mentorship, right? And
Yeah.
shout out to Kyle Dobbs.
Yeah.
Um,
And Domini as well.
yes. And so through that course, as it ended, what do you think was the biggest takeaway for you from that course and onto the real world with your clients?
For me, it was the business acumen of how to run a business more efficiently.
Hmm.
That's like my big takeaway. It was like, hey, I have a price and this is it. Not really compromising on my price because I value my time. I
Hmm.
got more informed on how to, you know, charge for one versus three people, like just how to scale operations. And yeah, I liked it a lot. It allowed me to take like a lot of concepts and just take what I liked and just put it into my approach. And I mean, I ripped, dude, that Google form that I created, I
Hmm.
ripped that through so many like consultations and stuff, and it just feels great. So putting yourself into like a professional process is probably what I took away from that.
Right. Yeah, it was such a useful course. For me, it wasn't much of the business aspect because I feel for my personal training business, it usually just takes care of itself as long as I take care of people. And usually I normally stick with a particular client 3, 4, 5 years. I have some of them occasionally pops in for a few months and then really just dies out. But
Yeah.
the one thing I loved about that course was learning on how to manage different type of personalities
Hmm.
and being able to really build the confidence as a trainer for our own good in order to be better for our clients, because before that it was much of like self-doubt, and as you were talking about, where you would compromise what you were worth based on the services by the dollar signs. But then at a
Totally.
certain point, as we pulled away or as we were done with this mentorship, it really gave me a lot of confidence to really tell myself that I have this service, I have this particular knowledge, and this is what I think I'm worth. And if this is something that you don't agree on, unfortunately, we are not seeing eye to eye and we probably won't work out with each other.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really good course. I feel like it was well rounded with just everything that they offered. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Just all the nuances that you can learn about training, like how to run a business, like movements, personality types, right? Like to your point, I really enjoyed like as I took that course, I integrated it into my training so then I would be more aware of bright lights or how somebody's body language super kind of cut off close, kind of
Hmm.
meek, quiet. Then you take them down to where it's quieter on the second level where there's yoga and Pilates. If they're like booming with energy and all that, you kind of want them to vibe with that. So you were to take them up to the third floor where it's like super bouncy and it's like, you know what the equinox scene is like. So yeah, I love sort of the learnings. I kind of forgot about that part too. That was also very fun to learn about.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite part actually that I took away.
Right. And that's kind of how it ties in with how I cultivated this title of my podcast, naming Beyond the Exercise Podcast, because with fitness or being in the gym, it's much more than picking up dumbbells and lifting heavy stuff, right? It's about the other things that we have to be aware about. In your example, is about learning on how to understand somebody. That environment is a big role. It plays a big role in how somebody may progress in the gym, right? For some people are not so much comfortable being on the first floor, then you have to bring them to the second floor. And then these are things that people don't really talk about, because even through my first half of my career as a personal trainer, all I studied was how to lift things heavier and more efficiently. And as we're talking about this is like perfect example of why I wanted to cultivate this podcast. And this kind of segues to my question of, as you're as you're taking on clients and you're learning more and more about them, what are the type of people that, one, initially you did not enjoy training, but you've learned on how to pave the way to manage it for the betterment of you and that client? That's a big sigh.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a very honest person. I will say that at Equinox, all right, I'll give it to you in phases, and this will give me time to think out the answer in each phase. But I know for sure in my Equinox phase, this was like month like 0 to like 1 or something like that. I like actually didn't have that skill set at all
Hmm.
to kind of feel at odds with a client and just not vibe with them. And like I can connect with anybody, it's a natural skill of mine. But in the training regard, where it's different when you're having conversations as a trainer and a client, like just the dialogue, the energy between you two can feel off.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have that skill set in that juncture. And then COVID happens, right? And then I kind of learned how to just run my business for myself through the course we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
After the course ends, I go back to Equinox for about 2, 3 months, and then I dip, and then I run my personal training business, and it's 2 years later, and I'm still running it, albeit I also have something else, but I'm still running it, right? And so, yeah, that's what I would say about that.
That's cool, man. It's such
Yeah,
a it these stories and our experiences in the gym can go so many different directions.
yeah, and I forgot to add too is I because of COVID, like where I was super new, and then COVID happens where it's kind of weird, and you're doing both things. I learned how to like do way more because of that course, and then yeah, I never really got to a phase where I had to learn how to work with somebody because
Mm,
I'm in the position now where I can pick whoever I want to work with. So I kind of like yeah somehow missed that phase, which is really nice.
right. So do you think COVID happened to you or for you?
Definitely to me, dude.
Mm,
Like in terms of my health, I mean, I moved to an area with a lot of food trucks, I will say, so I think that contributed to an extent
hmm.
on East Sixth. It was a cool spot, but it's kind of whack now, unfortunately. But yeah, I got COVID, and for like after I recovered for like 6 months, I couldn't really exercise
Wow.
because it was just too much output on like my heart. I would start to get like pain and discomfort like residually just for like minutes. And so like I just couldn't exert myself. And so dude, I was in a spiral health wise for like up until like maybe 8 weeks ago. I like
Mm-hmm.
could not get any habits together at all. I I was struggling to get into the weight room consistently. Sleep
Mm-hmm.
was always crap, steps dipped, and nutrition was always kind of disoriented, and it was even worse. So, yeah, man, that COVID happened to me, I would say. Gained a
And you
lot of
said
weight.
and you said it was 8 weeks ago, until 8 weeks ago, that you finally had a full grasp of controlling everything that happened to you.
Yeah, so it's been like a 2.5 year process of just kind of like inching. Like I've been working with my nutrition coach now for like 2+ years. Like we're like ride or die together. But it's shout out to Erica Oko. Lift hard. What is it? Live strong, swing fast, or something like that. That her and her husband have a great company for golfers and anybody else really. Gin Pop. Um, and what was your question?
Uh, my question was, COVID happening to you or for you? So that kind of just riffed to that.
Yeah, so we just got to the spot where, man, I went on this road trip with my mom, and when I got back, um, I somehow just like started piecing steps together every single day, and then my nutrition was on point, and sleep has been much better for like the last year and a half. So I don't know how many pounds I'm down. I don't really step on the scale, but I'm like fitting into jeans that I haven't worn in like 2 years. Like I don't know what's happening. It's kind of melting off right now. It's kind of cool.
Mm. How does that make you feel, man? How it almost seems like you got thrown off a cliff and you are slowly and progressively climbing your way out of it.
Yeah, it's an awesome feeling. I knew I'd always get to this point where I'd have it under control and I'd get back to where I was and even better. But there's dark days where like it just sucks and like
Hmm.
you don't know if you're ever gonna get back to where you were because I grew up an athlete. I played college baseball, and so like I was very, very active and athletic. And so for me to like have COVID happen and then I gain a ton of weight. I'm not nearly as athletic or fast, and I don't move as much, and I'm not working out. It was such a funk. And to kind of get yourself out of something that you never knew existed as an experience as a human is kind of like a mind boggling to put everything together, if that makes sense. And
Yeah, it
so
does.
I put all the bullshit soup together, and it's get paying dividends. And shout out to the air fryer. The air fryer helps immensely as well.
Oh my God. When I cut down weight, the air fryer saves you. You don't have to put any food into a pan with
dude.
a ton of olive oil. Now I just spray a little bit on the bottom so it doesn't stick, and bam.
It's
Oh,
freaking
yes.
steak.
Dude, that is, oh my God. And you made that through an air fryer?
Yeah, the steak though I had made on a skillet, but all
Yeah.
the veggies, green beans, broccoli, sweet potatoes, air fryer. It's incredible.
Dude, it's probably the best, one of the best investments that I have in my kitchen.
Yeah, it's again, get an air fryer if you can because it allows me to just like put all my veggies in there and do other things and be productive while it's cooking. So
Right.
it's very passive in nature now.
Yeah, and it's pretty much one of the tools that can be very useful because we talk about in fitness that, depending on how you want to divide the percentage of how much is actually is working out and how much of it is focusing on your nutrition. And I think the air fryer, it's funny how we're talking about an air fryer right now, but an air fryer is so useful. It
Yeah.
When I was cutting down, when I lived alone, when I was cutting down and, just portions for me, I would just throw chicken breast or chicken thighs in there and 20 minutes, voila. A lot of times I think we focus on so much of the complexity that it stops us from actually doing the easy things in life. And I think the air fryer is being so helpful with this. It's
Oh,
crazy how.
absolutely. You
So,
can you can make such cool stuff in there and it's like nothing. You did nothing.
right. And you kind of feel like you're like a really good chef or something with the air
Oh,
fryer. J-
totally.
Just don't
Totally.
show that you put it in the air fryer. Just take a photo, put it on a plate, and voila.
Because it doesn't like air fryer doesn't have like it like taste. It's like, oh, it tastes like air fryer. Like it doesn't, right? So you can make whatever you want in there and just throw it on the plate. And you made
Right.
that.
So I actually I want to take a full step back before we started talking about this air fryer. And I wanted to ask you why, when you're talking about you truly believe that you were going to get where you are right now, how did you hold on to that belief despite the whole world just throwing lemons at you while you're climbing up to the top?
I don't really know, man. I like don't have an answer for you. And it's not something I ever think of often either. It's just like randomly, fleetingly. It's like, yeah, like I'm gonna get there. It's just
Mhm.
like a weird assurance that I know like I'm gonna get to that point. And I have so much clothes. I'm about to travel next month. I have so much clothes that I'm gonna get to wear. I thought I was gonna have to buy a ton of clothes. I never got rid of my clothes, dude. Like I went from like I'm like I was like XL, like probably close to XL 2X, and now I'm like yesterday I bought two large shirts. Like life is great, dude. And
That's good, man.
I don't know what it was, man, but I just knew it. And that's why I kept with my nutrition coach too. I kept
Mhm.
paying I like if you think about it too, I was fucking up for like over a year and I kept paying for her service. I kept
Mhm.
paying for her to tell me keep going, right? Like no smart people do that. I just had like some weird feeling that I'd get there. Maybe it's just growing up an athlete, you're used to overcoming things. I don't know, but I knew I could
Hmm.
do it.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you about smart people would do a different approach of what you did, because I think that a lot of smart people would do the same approach for you just because something's not really working for them, and no matter how many times they're hacking at it, it's about being consistent and constantly trying and trying and trying, even though that sometimes it may not work. But I think where the divide here is that you truly believe that you are actually going to get there versus somebody knowing that I'm absolutely not getting there, but I'm just wasting my time. So that's where
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of disagree with you, where I think it's very smart that you stuck with it with the belief that you knew that you were going to get there versus somebody saying, I'm just kind of wasting my time here and I hope that things would just happen.
Yeah, no, man. It's like, well, also too, like we talk about fitness as just like one aspect of health.
Hmm.
But what if I'm crushing sleep? What if every day I'm crushing like my water intake? And so like for for the last year and a half, I've been crushing sleep. And boy, my nutrition coach and I, we fucking love talking about sleep.
Mm,
But man, tracking, nah, dude, like that shit is not really good right now. So
mm,
I don't really view like my weights as like one facet of like, oh, this represents my entire thing. It's like, how's my overall health? My overall health has gotten significantly better since working with my coach because she like forced sleep down my throat. And so I'm a much healthier person now. So it's just aligning everything all at once is what I couldn't do. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's why I'm seeing progress. But yeah, like you got to view things like, so if you're a client, view your health as an overall metric, not just, oh, am I getting like these bigger muscles? And you'll probably see your coaches differently because they're probably helping you in other areas of your life that you may not realize.
yeah. Yeah. It's so that's what it is, right? It's beyond the exercises, or fitness is definitely beyond the exercises because it's not just about, like mentioned earlier, it's not about just banging weight. It's about how much sleep you're getting, how much quality sleep you're getting, how well is your nutrition, how well is your relationship with other people around you that will influence you to focus more on other things, right? And I really love how you are very mindful and aware about these things because, as a coach to all of your clients in the fitness industry, you have to be the one to understand these things before you are able to communicate or even teach these other people, regardless if these people are very smart, top of their game, CEO of companies, richest people alive. It doesn't necessarily mean that they know everything in this space, right? It's they are the king in their space, and then I would say that we're more the king or the professionals in our space. So it's very heartwarming to hear that you're very aware of these things. And as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast, it's because of the way that you are as a person that I see you being very encouraging for your clients. Like, a lot of people need that. And what would you say is the strongest suit that you wear for your clients in order to get them to whatever goal that they're trying to achieve with you?
Yeah. Do you have an example, maybe like the suits that you're kind of referencing to, like
Yeah.
what kind of like coach hat or something, or
Oh, yeah, for sure. For me, my suit is just being very personable. I think for me, a lot of the people that I've worked with stay with me for the longest is because I really know how to be very encouraging and to meet people where they're at, because I think a lot of people who have a very rough experience with coaches in any field, but I can only speak for fitness, is that a lot of people feel too pushed over or intimidated because a lot of times they think that this is a very, I'm trying to put a word to this without saying something outrageous, but it's like a very scary place for a lot of people not being very comfortable because it comes with a lot of different things, right? It
oh
comes
yeah,
with a lot of feelings of discomfort because this is literally life or death, I think. Because for a lot of people, as much as a lot of people are hanging on and they know for a fact that they need to get a grasp of their fitness. And for some people, they just can't figure it out. But that's where I come in, right? What I truly believe when I work with somebody, I think I'm very good at, I think I'm really, really good at one on one, not so much on the online space, which I'm trying to figure out right now. But it's just being the type of energy that somebody wants to be around that people need on a daily basis.
hmm,
So that's a suit that I wear, and
yeah.
I love that suit. It just every day when I see somebody come in feeling defeated and they leave with a smile on their face or give me a high five, and I know that I got them to leave that session feeling even a tiny bit better, that's my suit, man. I wear it with a tie sometimes, but
I love that. Okay, yeah, my suit I would say is just like self-awareness. I just am totally very like into the experience of like, all right, I want my client to have a great experience. I want them to always feel like they can come to me with questions. They can like tell me whatever, right? And so I feel like that what that takes is to be paying attention to the environment, like everything all at once, basically. Like picture, imagine having 10 different tabs open and you're operating all 10 tabs at the same time. Like that's what I'm thinking about when I'm working with a client. Like it's music, like it's just so cool, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so those are the things that I try to be aware of when working with people. And so I think through that, it's like what you say, your language, your body language, where you take them in the gym, certain exercise selection. I think that all goes together to give like the experience. And so that's my suit, is like being aware of that and making
So,
adjustments when needed.
hmm. So out of those 10 tabs, what are the two tabs you're most aware of?
Good question. One is like just overall energy level
Okay.
for sure. So like if let's say a 3 by 12 or 4 by 12 is on the books today, but like you can tell like they are just not there. Like they say they will, but like you can tell, your clients. It might be a 3 by 8. We might mince some of the reps off of the entire workout, because these
Eh,
people at the end of the day, like they're lawyers or they're teachers. They're not like Olympic professionals. So I think skipping a set or two is okay.
Right. It's learning on how to make an audible in the session, right? It's not like how we would train ourselves where it says 3 by 3. I'm cranking out this 3 by 3 no matter what.
I did
But
that
it's
today.
yeah. But I think at a certain point it's willpower, right? And it's also understanding yourself, which I believe as a coach, majority of the times is people are coming to you because they don't really have a full grasp or understand how all of it works. And you're kind of that guy who is in the passenger seat in the car that they are driving, and you're kind of just like that guy, like those rally cars, and you have
Yeah,
that guy on the side just reading, oh, left and right and go straight, speed up, slow down. So I think that's what I see us as a coach, is
yeah,
allowing, helping people to slow down when they need to slow down, pick it up when they need to pick it up,
yeah.
or sometimes just stop complaining and do the damn thing sometimes.
Exactly. And like I'm luckily and grateful enough to be at that stage in my training career where all of that's just on, I don't want to say autopilot now because nothing's ever autopilot, but it's
Mhm.
just you roll into each whatever it is at any instance, right? And so um yeah, you can recognize these moments and adapt on the fly, which is really cool as being a coach and a practitioner now. Like
Yeah,
it's an art form. And
for sure.
so it's really cool. Like one of my clients, she vocalizes all the time, like I can do more, and so we do more, right? If it's it might not be in the plan, but the client's saying we can do more, so we do more, right? Like we listen to the client.
100%.
If they're not doing something well, then we let them know. Um,
Right. I
and
love
then
that.
my other bucket too, my other tab that I come back
Tab.
to is like your progress. Like I'm always looking for any moment to celebrate my client, like at any moment. So do you remember when we started and you could only do 2 push-ups? Like, yo, to make people feel valued and to make them feel like fuck yeah, like I'm putting in the work. Like come
Mhm.
on, we get a few moments every workout. I'm sure we can mention that once or twice or whatever. But yeah, man, it makes their day, and it's always a good reminder of them to like keep going. I'm doing well, so keep going. Let's do this. So
It's like what we say in New York City, facts. You we're just stating facts. We're
yeah,
just telling you what you've done, and that's what I love, dude. This goes back to everything that I said in the beginning of this podcast, is how encouraging, and those two things are literally the two tabs you chose out of the 10. You could have chose any of the 10, but you chose those two. And what I love so much about that is, yeah, it's giving people their roses and celebrating them on a daily basis. Yeah, I even have times where somebody comes in and they're so beat up from the night because taking care of their family or just didn't have good sleep. And they're there, and I say, "You're here. It's cool. Let's get some exercises in, whatever you can do." And maybe they did, I don't know, let's say 3 sets of bicep curls and 3 sets of dead bugs. That is still more than what you did. But also
Exactly.
sometimes we have to learn as trainers to make sure that that's not the only thing that they're doing. Because obviously sometimes, they have their days, but we also have to check ourselves as trainers that we have a responsibility here and we have to be the ones. They're literally hiring us to motivate them and to bring them to closer to where they want to be. So maybe some days that happens, but I think most of the time we should be able to learn on how to help somebody not always get into that pool.
Yeah, no, agreed. And sort of like gauging that level too for me, I get that from Michelle Boland, Dr. Boland,
Mm-hmm.
MBT training systems. She's so dope. Like like I subscribe to her monthly exercise selection thing, and that allows me to get really cool exercises for my programming, and then I build that into my for my clients. So shout out to her. But I remember listening to one of her podcast episodes, and she mentioned like evaluating every day her training output based on her physical like feeling and her mental feeling. Like she put them into
Mm-hmm.
buckets. And that's what I'm talking about. When I see a client walk in, that's what I'm looking at your buckets. You know, you might be walking in kind of bouncy, but you look like, holy shit, you slept 1 hour last night. We're gonna take some stuff off. So like paying attention to those types of cues and seeing, cool, they might be in there, but like how much do they actually have in the tank? And then
Mm-hmm.
adjusting the workout based on that. That's kind of what I mean by doing that. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you ever do RPE skills?
Yeah. Are you talking about like reps
Rate
in
of
reserve?
Yeah, rate of perceived exertion.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you see,
RPE, RM.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, all the time. It's a daily thing. Where are we at on that? And then they'll always say, yeah, it wasn't that bad. And I'll say, yeah, scale of 1 to 10 again. Where were we at? Like I literally
Hmm.
make them number it out because, well, we got to know the number.
Right. Yeah. What I love reps in reserve sometimes when I tell a client to almost like doing an AMRAP set and
Hmm.
doing. So what I love to tell one of my clients is that do as many as you can. If you feel like you got two more, don't even do those two.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes for see this in their face. I see there in their eyes. They're gonna crank out as many as they can do, and regardless if they only have two more, they're still gonna do the last two.
Yeah.
But the fact that I planted that seed in them is just saying like, okay, this is the only two I have left. Let me try it. And I think that also makes me understand what kind of person is in front of me.
I like
Yeah, so
that.
that's I always do it, man. And it's sometimes it's
Yo,
better than the RP scale
that's
because
so
sometimes
good, dude.
also,
That's a stress test.
yeah, I love it. I love it, man. It's like I don't necessarily say playing chess, but it's playing games with the people that I train,
It's market
depending on the percent.
research. It's market
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, let me see what you're gonna do here.
Yeah, let me evaluate that. Hey, that's a freaking stress test.
Yeah.
My friend and
Dude,
I, we were stress testing someone the other day. We were like, all right, we're not going to say hi to this person. We're going to notate to see if they come say hi to us first because we always say hi to them all the time. They failed it, but then they pass it later. So,
hmm,
yeah, it's fun.
kudos to that, good. So
Yeah.
out of all your clients that you've trained, who are you inspired by the most?
Hmm.
You don't have to say their name. You can just say a little background of the story if you're okay with sharing that, or just whatever you think you're okay with sharing.
What if like none of my clients like have anything really inspiring going? Like they're just
then
like
the an-
normal people. Like they're
then the
such
answer is
normal
no.
people.
Uh,
Yeah, no, like we got a
no.
lawyer, we got like a tech guy, and we got another tech woman. Like people, they're living great lives.
Yeah,
One's
dude,
about to go live abroad. Like,
mhm.
yeah,
Can I tell you my story?
yeah, please.
I'm inspired by one of my clients who, no matter how many tasks that is on this person's calendar, that he always finds ways to show up despite being ridiculously tired. and just constantly showing up. And then sometimes he might not give me a good day, but when he says he's going to be there,
Mhm.
he's going to be there.
Damn.
And sometimes, and what I love most about this person as well is that he shows up, he's going to be there, and recently he's learned how to say no, I'm not coming in today, because for the longest he just kept on coming in super beat up from all the activities that he had the night before, and he would force himself to come in. And I think it's maybe a personality trait of always saying like I got this, but also
Yeah.
I think what this person has learned over the years is that some days, maybe some weeks, it's just not there.
Yeah.
And the better option sometimes is to not go or not do it and just take a break. And why I'm saying all of this is because I used to be like that. When I did all the bodybuilding training and I used to train 6 days a week specifically for bodybuilding, it got to the point where it was very obsessive. It got to the point where I'm going in no matter what.
Mhm.
And what happened? It ruined me. I got injured. I injured my shoulder, injured my back. And then I've learned that we're not machines, we're human beings. And that's why this is the one person that inspires me the most, because this person figured out for himself by a lot of trial and error, and also understanding that this person's not wussing out. This
Yeah.
person really pushed himself to the limit and now understands that sometimes that limit is not okay to push.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a I like that one a lot. That one's yeah. It's just recognizing your limits and staying within them. It's very important because I've seen people overexert themselves quite a bit. I have a someone I worked with in the past, maybe like a year and a half ago. They were recovering from cancer, dude.
Hmm.
Dude, they were in chemotherapy and saw me 3 times a week. Like
Dude,
actually twice a
this is
week.
the story. Tell me this. This is the
Yes,
inspiring story. Okay, so you do have
dude.
one. Stop.
Yeah, I do. That
Okay.
like all my current clients are having great lives right now. So like they're literally so boring. But man, my boy K,
Okay.
recovering like from cancer, he's in his mid 60s as well. So like he's older. And by the way, like as he was recovering from cancer, we trained for like 4 months together because he wanted to get ready to go out on the slopes because he wanted to go skiing. And so
Wow.
basically his whole push was like, dude, I'm about to go through like the hardest like 3 months I've ever experienced in my life, which was chemo. I like need this. Like I need this. And so yeah, I would drive 45 minutes 3 times a week and I would train him. And
Wow.
he's doing great. Like his daughter's crushing it. Her fiance's crushing it. But yeah, it was just like that's life or death, as you mentioned earlier. That's like I don't have an option here. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of that, like on now when I'm back in the mindset of where I'm at for my health, it's nice now because when I feel certain ways, I can think about experiences I've had with people like that. And it's like, dude, get your get out the door. Go right now. Right. So it's like perspective gainer for
Mm-hmm.
me, still like to this day. So
Dude, that is such a crazy story. And I want to give you your flowers as well for, you saw, you have every, I wouldn't say right, but you had the decision to just say, "No, I'm not doing this. I'm not driving 45 minutes away. I'm not trying to take care of somebody who is in that condition." But as I'm going back to the beginning of what I said, you're very selfless at times. Like you really care for people, and to drive 45 minutes away to train somebody, that because you see that you can definitely be the catalyst for somebody else's health. And that's also a shout out to all the other trainers out here who are traveling to see their clients, regardless if it's because they're just simply paying you or they're your highest paying clients. Behind all of that, behind of getting paid as a personal trainer, I believe all personal trainers, we always have this interior inside ourselves to be selfless and to care for other people. And I think whether or not all personal trainers are like that, at a certain point, the ones who aren't will get weeded out. But kudos to you, man. I have so much more respect for you for sharing that story and just being that guy who, you know, would give much of his time, his 45 minutes to drive and then train, and then I'm assuming another 45 minutes back.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta get
It's
home, man. I gotta get home.
crazy, dude. But
Yeah.
man, that's such a
No,
beautiful story.
it was super cool, and you just learn a lot from people going in those types of situations too. So, like, I feel blessed to be doing that type of work. Like
Right.
in those moments, it's like, man, like this is as great as it gets.
This is
Like,
why I do what I do.
yeah, nah, yeah, it's such a cool feeling. So, yeah,
So I want to respect your time here. So I think that we're probably getting to the end of this, but there's one question that I wanted to ask you before we wrap this up. And that's actually a few questions, but this is one of them. What's
yeah.
the biggest change that you've had since your first day identifying as a personal trainer till now?
Damn. Can you repeat that again? Because I think I know my answer, but
Yeah. You want to hear it again?
yeah,
I use
so that's a
identifying
great
pretty good
question, dude.
there. So my question was, what's the biggest change that you've noticed or that you know from the first time you identified as being a personal trainer slash coach till now?
People don't know as much as they say they do, and people, as in like the clients or potential clients, can't verify that. And I think that's like an issue, but it's just hard to like monitor or do anything about. But yeah, that's probably what I would say because I was new and I was like whoa, everybody knows so much, and then it's like, man, there's just, well, there's different ways to think about training and different ways to do things and all that. But I just always feel like with all the great things, you can also have just kind of, snake oil salesy people, or, people that are kind of preying on vulnerabilities and
Mm-hmm.
saying buzzwords and then saying, we'll get you the opposite, right? Like real bait and switch marketing. And then that, people shell out money, right? Have terrible experience, lose money, bad people gain money, terrible experience, they never do it again because it was a shitty experience. So like now this person that had a rough experience going with this coach or something and getting socked out of money is never going to trust another coach again because the first coach, right? So it's like things like that that I don't think are spoken about enough because yeah, anytime you do something, if it's traumatic or it's not a great time, you're probably not going to do that again. And what did you say at the very beginning of this podcast? Gyms are scary for a lot of people. So if you couple that with a terrible experience coming from a professional, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I truly agree with what you're saying on how, us as personal trainers, just because we work out 5, 6 times a week doesn't mean that we're good personal trainers. I had to learn that the hard way. You know, I used to train bodybuilding style, and how I got into it was one of the fitness managers told me that I should be a personal trainer. I was a little baffled. I was like, I can be a personal trainer? She's like, yeah, to take this course, you're a personal trainer. Cool. I did it. 3 months later, I became a personal trainer, and only to find out that my experience of working out wasn't enough to help somebody else do the same. Right.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that as personal trainers, coaches, or any professional, it's our duty for our service to become better and more knowledgeable in what we do. And, as long as we have the intention of doing our best and doing better and not slacking off, I think that's more than enough.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it is. But do you remember that feeling of your first personal training session?
Oh, dude, we just straight up bodybuilding style, baby.
Yes, dude.
Okay,
I've
let's
never
do
felt
some.
so lost and so much imposter syndrome in my first, like, I had a master's degree in exercise phys. I like published research, and like I like my first personal training session, dude. I was shocked. I had never been in the field. I had never practiced. So like
Mm-hmm.
you got to get in the field and apply the knowledge too, because that stuff is different.
Right.
That's crazy. Felt so
Yeah,
lost.
I don't think I had the imposter syndrome aspect of it because I had a lot of years of training already under my belt, and I also worked in a lot of gyms as a front desk employee, so
Yeah.
it was a little less alarming, but
See,
I
you
could.
were already there. You were in the
Yeah,
field, dude. You were already
yeah.
doing the trade, so you felt good. And here I was like, you read all the books, you do all the stuff, and then like, oh
Let's do
shit,
it.
you got to go do it. You got to go do it, right? And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah, it's straight bodybuilding, like you said,
Right.
man. But what's funny is we came in differently, feeling differently. We did the same thing, bodybuilding. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, dude, more than likely, whatever your type of training is the type of training that you're gonna teach your clients.
Totally. And now it's
Right.
like my training differs so much from my some of what I give my clients. Well, a little bit now, but all my clients what?
Yeah, mine is the foundations are all the same. Learn how to squat, learn how to push, learn how to pull, learn how to hinge, learn how to activate your abs, and then everything else is more catered to what the person needs, what the person can do, and what the person is also willing to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
anyway, brother, this has been such a really good time speaking with you. I definitely want to do this shit again.
Please,
And
yeah.
then yeah, so at the end of my podcast, something that I want to do where I have three different questions and then at the end it morphs into this one grand question. I'm sure a
Sweet.
lot of different podcasts do this, but I'm just going to believe that this is the original idea. So, first one out of the three is going to be, what is one piece of advice that somebody gave you that worked for you?
Mm, never be content to remain the same. It's just a cheesy quote, I
Ooh,
had from an old baseball coach, but I literally like that is my daily practice. Like
I
it's a
like that.
daily process. I do the same stuff. I try to keep it, structured, but it's just no matter what's happening in the world, in my world, I still have to take the next step. So it's the daily things, and that's why my life looks like this on the daily, but it's like that when you zoom out, you know what I'm saying? So
Love that.
yeah,
Cool.
man.
Second question. What's of a piece of advice that somebody gave you that didn't work for you?
Oh man, I vet things out quite a bit. So even if I get advice, I can't remember the last time I asked somebody for something. That sounds so terrible. Honestly, my therapist. Let me think what my therapist said to me.
Oh God, my therapist tells me a lot of things.
Yeah, man. I don't have one for you on that one. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good, man. And then the third question is going to be, what is one piece of advice you wish you got sooner?
Ooh, just uh, velocity, man. Get your thoughts and actions oriented and go. Messy action. That's what it was. And that was
Messy
my
action.
initiative in 2021 was messy action. Stop thinking about stuff. Stop coming up with really cool, great ideas. Go fucking do it for once. And so, yeah, I did a lot that year in 2021. So that's something I wish I would have been given a lot sooner was go take action. Stop being so afraid of nothing
Mhm.
happening from it. Just go do it. Go do it.
Right. Oh man, I love that one. That's the one that I've been dealing with for the longest before starting this podcast.
Really, was it this? Like you were thinking about this and then finally you did it?
Dude, I've been thinking about this podcast for 2, 3 years now. You know, I need the best mic. I need the best camera.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need the computer table. I need the lights. I need the topic. I need the information. And honestly, I have it all in front of me, and it got to the point where I have no excuse. And it just, like how they say on Think Media and YouTube, you just gotta press record.
Yeah, you just got to get after it and do it. and then you figure it out. I just throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. But just like
Ooh,
let's get it moving.
brother, I love that. And this one last and final question: what does it mean? Well, wait, this is not the last question. This is the last question. What does it mean to you of what's beyond the exercise?
What does it mean to me
What's
to
beyond the exercise? I need to ask that question probably a little more clear. What is here? Here's a question. Here's a question. God,
yeah.
take three. Take three. What is one thing that you wish people paid attention to beyond the exercise? That's what's it. That's
Wow,
what.
that is beautiful.
Only took three tries.
Hey, you got there. Let's see. I think just overall how they feel, like literally their quality of life. Like, you know how many times people come up and they're like, but I was 0.2 pounds over this morning on the scale and I was this blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, you probably slept like more or less. You probably had more water, like the salt in the steak last night, right? Like there's so many tiny variables that could throw something off. So get out of your head. It's not just about the exercise. It's about like the pavement. Are you going outside? Are you walking on the grass, right? You walking in the streets? Are you eating what? Like there's so many facets to health. And so that's what it means to me, dude. It's like every other facet. Can we align it and get people kind of like what's that Marvel movie, Doctor Strange? Can we align everything all at once? And then boom,
Cool,
we're in the promised land. So yeah, dude, there's so many other things outside of just exercise.
brother. Thank you so much for your time and for this wonderful conversation that we just had. I've learned so much more about training and truly means beyond the exercise, and just getting to know you more and more, and having so much more respect for you, and how much of a wholesome person you are. So thank you, brother.
Thank you. And like I said, I'm coming back in December, and we're gonna get enchiladas again. You're gonna take me
Ooh,
around. Do you remember that? Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
We're
It's
gonna do
good.
tacos this time. I got the best
Let's
spot.
let's get it.
All right, brother. Well, you have a good one. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.